Hello and welcome back. This is the Clay Golem. This is Foundry VTT, and in this video we're looking at the module levels and wall height. Now, some of you who've been hanging around for a while will say, hang on a minute, you've done this. Yes, I have. So if you're happy and comfortable with using levels, you can probably skip this one. It's not going to be an awful lot in here for you. I try not to redo videos because what's the point? I don't do videos just for content's sake. I don't just put up stuff just because. So why am I doing this video again? We started to get a few comments on that previous levels video of people finding it a little bit difficult, having a few challenges with it. And that video is a year old now. A lot has changed. We are no longer on V11. We are no longer on the older D&D system. So there's a few little bits that have changed. Now, levels itself, in essence, hasn't changed. But I was thinking because of the number of queries and things, it was worth doing a fresh look at it. And I've confirmed with Ripper that this, when V13, Foundry version 13, when that lands any time now, there won't be there's no expected changes to the way that levels functions. There's nothing in that update that's going to impact it. So yeah, fresh video. Let's have a look. So as you can see on the screen right now, what you're looking at is the module list of what I've got installed. Wall height is required for levels. And I think it's possibly the wall height bit that has thrown a few things for people. So I'm going to take you through the process of how to construct a scene correctly using the levels. LibWrapper is required as part of levels as well. And the only other thing that I've got on is the Ripper's module HUD, which comes with the Ripper's things. It just lets you know what's updated. That is not required. But I've not got anything else on, nothing else special. So I'm going to start a completely clean new scene for this. We're going to build it from scratch. So I'm going to just drag this over here. I'm going to call it Blue Water Inn because that's the map that I'm going to use for doing it. Just going to close that for a moment and then skip over to our new scene here. A couple of things I need to do for a new scene is I want to make sure that I've got global illumination turned on. Note, by default, wall height is selected for this. That is correct. I do want wall height on. So I haven't done anything else at all yet. All I've done is create that scene. And people were saying about, oh, you know, should I just use tiles or should I use a background image and things? You don't have to use a background image. You can just use a tile for your ground floor image. I just used the normal background scene. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to, on the left hand side, I'm going to click my levels, which brings us this little pop-up here. I'm just going to move it to the center of the screen. Now, one of the things that I think confuses people is trying to operate within a scene when they haven't got levels open, and it can confuse things a bit. So first of all, note, this is a little change which is really, really useful. It says, warning, don't disable light setting is enabled, which means multi-levels doesn't work properly for lights if you have that. So you can just click that and that will change those settings for you. That wasn't in there when we did the previous video. It's a lovely little thing here. You'll see that I've got roof placements already selected. That's because I was messing around with it the last time I was in here. I want to turn that off. So I can leave that place regions as stairs on. I don't need to worry about show players. I don't need to worry about placing as overhead tiles inside levels at this point. I will want to add new levels and edit them. And I don't want to get levels from the scene. Now you can, if you've got a pre-built scene with tiles and things, you can ask the levels module to try and split that out into the different levels. Now I've not had to use that. I'm not 100% how good it works, how well it works. It's Ripper's, so I suspect it works just fine. The next one on here is set up multi-level fog. Now, we did a video specifically on the multi-level fog, so I'm not going to go into that. And the last one here is about clear levels, but I want to add a new level. Okay, and I know this is quite small. I'm going to make this window a bit bigger. It's starting me off with level 1. And I'm going to be able to set the heights for these, but notice I can't edit anything here. So this other option here, edit levels, if I click that, I can now change these. Now I know I'm doing the blue water in. I'm going to have the ground floor. And the ground floor is going to start from 0 feet up to 10 foot high. And you can have these whatever height you need, okay? Then I'm going to click the plus to add a new level, and I'm going to call this first. Don't need a big capital S in there. First, and this is going to be from 10 foot to 20 foot. Now, bearing in mind that while I am doing it this way, attic, and for those of you who've been around for a while, you'll be aware that I can't type and speak at the same time. So we've got a ground floor, we've got a first floor, and we've got an attic. That's what I need for this scene. Now, bearing in mind, you can do cellars and dungeons. I'm going to create one for you. Let's call this the cellar or basement or whatever you want to call it. I have to try and spell stuff. And you can say that that's from 0, or rather from -10 to 0. So you can do underground as well. That works absolutely fine. I've used it many times. I just don't need it for this purpose. So let me just get rid of that one there. Now I've got these in, I can click that edit levels again, so I can't accidentally change them. Right, now that's in. Whenever I put tiles and things on, it will add them to either ground, first, or attic, whichever I'm on. So I want to start off with the ground floor, and I'm going to pull in that background image that I want for this. So go to the basics, go to my file, select, and I want blue water in, ground floor, no lighting. Just so you're aware, these are Aeon Bars maps that I'm using for this because 1, they're beautiful, 2, they're very conveniently sized for me. So this is the ground floor of the inn. We've got our doors in, we've got our tables, etc. Now we can bring in all the tiles and things like that, but I'm going to put in some of the walls here just to show you how this works. I'm going to bring these in, bring that in, just very quickly. I'm just snapping to the grid for these because, again, Aeon Bars maps are very useful. The fact it's allowing me to do that because it's scaled perfectly already for me. All right, so let's just slap in a couple of that's not a door. Slap in a couple of these doors. Some of you who've been around for a while will know that me and my accuracy with doing things like walls is not brilliant. Let's pop in a few windows. I'm not doing the whole lot because you're not here to watch me build walls and stuff. Yeah, and I've got big gaps there as well. Of course I have. Okay, so that's enough. So I would normally complete that. Now, if I select any of these walls and have a little look at it, when it brings up the details, this is currently saying wall height is top and the is infinity and the bottom is minus infinity. So that wall stretches all the way across my levels. That's not what I want, is it? Now what's happened is the levels thing has closed. So sometimes it closes when you change scene, you load a map in and things like that. So that has actually not done what I wanted to do with regard to the walls. Select my walls, thank you very much. Because this wall should be, the top should be 10 foot and the bottom should be 0. And when that's done, you can see it puts little numbers on there for me. So let's delete a few of these walls. Okay, just those ones, that will do. And now let's replace those walls when I've got the levels thing open. Now by popping those in like this with levels open, now when I select them, it is automatically, wall height has automatically done its thing and has set them at the correct height for this based on that level. So this is a common little mistake that people make. Now sometimes it does put the number on it like it does over there. For these ones it hasn't got the number on it, but double clicking on them you can see that's working. So now we've got a mixture of some walls like this one down here. That is infinity. And we've got some walls that are more correct and are just showing correctly on this level. Okay, so we know some of those walls are going to be fine, some of those walls are not. We now want to bring in, we assume we finished all of our walls, we now want to bring in our next tile. So let's go to first level, and those walls that we did correctly on the ground floor, we can't see them anymore. Our problem we've got here is we're now on the first floor and we've got doors, because these doors are infinitely high. So we know straight away that we've got a problem there. What we can do is just select and delete all of those walls, because they are all showing at the wrong level. If I go back to ground, we've got the correct ones here. First floor, we haven't got any walls. Okay, so this is the first thing that might throw you a bit. So I'm going to quickly slap in a few more of these walls again, just so that we know that we've got somewhat of a completed room. Just bring that across there. That will do, I think. We'll just put those front doors on, put the door on the kitchen, put that door on there, and that door on there. Okay, so now if I jump to the first floor, no walls, because those are the ground floor walls. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so on the first floor, we now want to add our tile, our map for the first floor. So I'm going to go to my tile selector on the left-hand side, and I'm going to go to my tile browser. Now you can draw the tile and then add the image. Tile browser is much easier. I'm going to change mine to the list, because one, it loads a lot quicker, and two, I know what I'm looking for anyway. So I'm looking for the blue water in, I've got the ground floor, the blue water in first floor, no lighting. So Aeon bars map there. So because Aeon bars maps are nicely scaled, which is why I like to use them, you'll see that I don't have to change the size of this tile, it's come in immediately. Yes, it's not lined up. I just need to drag that across and line that up. So that's directly over the top. So I got the ground floor, and now I've got the first floor. Ground floor, first floor. And of course, for the walls, I've got the ground floor walls, and I've got the first floor walls. I can now draw some of these. Again, I'm not going to spend forever doing it. I can now do the same thing, where I can now draw in my wall. If I'm not an idiot. I can now draw in the rest of those walls that are on this level. And once again, just to prove, if I double click this, because I'm on the first floor, Americans probably are calling this the second floor, apologies for that confusion, but this wall is from 10 foot to 20 foot high, so that wall won't show downstairs. Let's put in a wall over on this side here. So okay, so we've got a wall here. If we go down to the ground floor, we've got different walls. This wall extends all the way up there, but it doesn't on the ground floor. Okay, but our doors and windows on the ground floor are not showing up here anymore. Okay, we've got our doors for this level, we haven't got that main entrance door. So I hope that makes sense. So that's part one, where people potentially can make an error. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to my attic level. I'm going to repeat that process. I'm going to go to tiles. I'm going to go to my tile browser. Wait for that to open. It does like to default to all the images. I've got tons of them, so it takes a while. I'm going to find my next one, which is my blue water in. Just want to make sure it's that one. I'm going to drag that in. And this is my attic one. So I need to just make sure that lines up with the tiles underneath. I can close my browser. And there we go. So we've now got the ground floor, the first floor, and then the attic. All right. Now, because this attic one has this cutaway, there is also a roof tile which will hide away that attic stuff, so it can't be seen unless the characters are actually in there. Now I don't want to add the roof in this example as an extra level. Now Drazimo will immediately say, guarantee my character is going to end up on the roof at some point, and would want that roof put as an extra level, and you can do that. I'm not going to. On the right hand side, on the Ripper's levels tools, I'm going to select the third icon on, which is roof view and placement. If I click that on, that's now going to show me the roofs, but I don't have one. I'm going to place one. So I'm on my very top level, and this is got the bit that's got the roof on. I want to go to my tile browser again. Give it a second to load. And I want to find my roof tile one. So that's that one there. So I drag that one on, and again I can just make sure I line that up with the rest of the tiles. So that is now my roof. So from the outside, this is what characters would see. And I can toggle that roof on and off just using that setting. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether you want to leave it on or not. You know, as a DM, you might want to leave it off just because it's easier. But we now have a ground floor, a first floor, and an attic, which has a roof on it. Lovely. Now, note, if you close that window, you can't navigate up and down between your levels. So you kind of need to leave that open. Let's go back to the ground floor. We want to now make sure that we can move up and down these various levels. Okay, so let's slap in a couple. We're not going to spend ages doing this. We're just going to slap in a couple of regions here that enable us to do that. Now, notice I have just clicked. Let me drag this to the middle for you. I've just clicked add region and it's automatically said levels stairs. Why? Because this second option on the right hand side under Ripper's tools says place regions as stairs. Now this is something that has changed since the previous video. It used to be drawings as stairs, but now with V12 we've got regions. Regions are much more effective. So with that switched on, I've tried to create a region and it straight away said, well, hang on a minute, I'm going to create that region as some stairs. Now I can't draw it on there because I just went create new region, but of course I can go in and configure and say I want to add a shape on there. If I've got that selected, and I can draw that there. Now this is stairs on this floor, level 0 to 10. Behaviors, it's got execute script is already in there because you can see the bit of the script down the bottom here. I know it's not very clear. That's automatically going to do that for you. Configure levels handler, region handler. It's going to do that, and it says about checking the wiki, so you can go back to the wiki and look at that if you want to. So we don't need to draw our own regions and link them because it's going to do it for us. Okay, I'm going to click update region. All right, and I can come off of regions for that, and we know that that has put a region in for us. We need to test that, don't we? We need to make sure that works. Let's take our trusty Hayley and stick her over here. Now, when we select Hayley, she is outside at the moment on the ground floor, so she can see the roof. Now, notice that piece of attic isn't showing because we did actually put a proper roof on. I didn't do all the walls, so she's seeing through those walls because I didn't do them, but we did do some walls over here. So you can see she can't see what's inside, but she can see the roof. Now, notice over on the right hand side here, she can see the roof when she can't see what's under the roof, but as she moves over it shows her more clearly what's on her level, and I can just hover over that to see what's underneath there. So it will adapt to that. Now let's move Hayley inside. I need to get past the wall, of course. I did put a window in. Let's open the door. So Hayley can move inside now, and it's showing her exactly what's on her floor. Let's move her to the stairs, and when we hit that region, notice the map has changed. We are now on the first floor. If we look closely at Hayley's token here, it says that she's 10 foot up. So by creating the region with that region as stairs on, it has automatically put that in and gone, well, if you hit that region on the ground floor, I take you up to the next floor. That next floor is 10 foot up. I adjust the token's height so that then we can see that thing. Now, if I go down again, notice that 10 foot has disappeared because she's now going downstairs and she's now on the ground floor again. And you can see this is the ground floor map. We haven't got the balcony area around the side. Let's move her back up. Balcony's there again. So that's really, really simple to set up. Now, the bit that goes up to the attic, that little section, is actually in here. So we can, once again, with regions, place regions as stairs. We can go to our regions, and I don't need to create the region first. I can just, well, I need to put me on the correct floor. I can then just draw that region there. I'm going to make it nice and big. And notice that this has straight away gone, well, this is a new region for stairs, level 10 to level 20. So we can whack update there. I can go back to Hayley, and now when Hayley steps on that, she's going to teleport to that higher level. It's changed her height to say 20 foot. If I go back and hit that region again, it drops her down. She's now 10 foot. She can now wander back around here and go back down to the ground floor. So regardless of which level the DM is apparently looking at, because I've got a token active, it's following that token and it's changing her level for her. I can't get out. Can't remember where I drew the walls now. Open the door. There we go. We can go straight outside. And as soon as she's outside again, that roof recovers. If I hover over it, the roof disappears. I can move the mouse out the way. She can see it. Now, obviously, with token, with fog exploration on, it will show you what you've already explored, etc. So we can see the other side of this roof regardless. So that's worked really simply and really nicely. Now, you will note that there's a couple of buildings here that don't have roofs on. That has a roof there because that is part of the tile for this. So when Hayley is on the ground floor, she won't be able to see the roof for this building in the way she can here, because we didn't do that as a roof tile. We've done that as the first floor tile that's got an image of that roof on. So I know that might sound a bit weird, but the way Aeon Bar's map is that it doesn't have a separate tile for the roof for that one, and it doesn't have a separate tile for the roof for that one at the bottom left either. They are part of the first floor tile. Okay, so yeah, but I could absolutely snip that out, create that as a roof tile and place that as a roof tile on the ground floor, and that would work exactly the same. So you can do that. This map's not set up for that, and that's fine. And to be perfectly honest, I really don't care that much. It's not a big deal because the main building, they can see the roof and things, and I often won't put the roof on the top. Because if they're wandering around it, generally they're going to be going into the building and they're going to be spending most of the time in the building in this instance. So I don't really worry about a roof because they can't see through the walls. I admit that it does look nicer, and a couple of people have said, oh, you've got to put the roof on. Fine, yeah, absolutely, you do you. It's whatever works. But this works really, really smoothly. Now, I know what the next question is going to be, so let's look at lighting and vision across multiple levels. So let's stick Hayley back inside. I can just drag her in there, and she's now inside. Let's put a couple of lights. We've got some lamps on these tables, so let's slap out a couple of lamps on these tables. We're going to change the color of them so they're really easy for us to see. There it is, down there. Let's make it a green light just to be different and a bit weird. We can put a nice ambient light in there. Oh, why have we not got 360? What did I do? There we go. Accidentally put an angle on it. So obviously when Hayley's down here, she can absolutely see that light. But what about somebody on the first floor? Let's sit Hayley at this table here. If we jump to the first floor, we can't see that light and we can't see Hayley, even though that we should be able to see over that balcony. Let's pop a character in. Who should we use? Well, Sorryman, of course. Let's grab Sorryman. Sorryman, standing on that balcony, note that he is on the first floor. He's got +10. Looking over that balcony, he can see Hayley. Hayley's down here. Okay. And she can move around and do her thing. If Sorryman's above her, he can also see her, even though she's on a different level. So you don't need to worry about that. Now, the slightly strange thing you may have noticed is when Hayley is looking here, is Sorryman appears to be floating. Okay, let's see if we can solve that. I will be back in a moment. Okay, so I just wanted to check something with the lights before ploughing on to make sure I didn't mislead you. I'm currently playing Curse of Strahd, and because I'm building that as a module, I'm not using levels in that. Because to keep the module count down, that's the only reason. If I was only making it for myself, I 100% would be using levels in that. It just means I'm a little bit rusty on a couple of bits, so I just wanted to double check that. So the lighting. This lighting, obviously, yeah, of course this works at this level, but it doesn't work at Sorryman's level because it's restricted. If I select this light, what I can do is I can change the elevation of this light. I want it to be 0, so it's on the ground floor, but I want it to go above the ground floor, which is 10 foot high, all the way up to the first floor and the ceiling of the first floor. And the ceiling of the first floor is at 20 feet. We can check that on the right hand side here by seeing the first floor is from 10 to 20. So now this light should shine from 0 to 20 feet high. We don't need to do anything else. Of course, we can use the normal constraint by walls if we want to. In fact, we probably would have that on for most lights. But how does that actually affect our light for our people? Now, notice suddenly I'm on the ground floor, but I can't see this light. Don't panic, because the tokens can. And it's about the token seeing the light, right? But because we've made that elevation, we've kind of stretched it over those 2 levels. It doesn't show up for the DM if you haven't got a token selected, but that's fine. Players can see it, and that's what you want them to be able to do. So we're on the ground floor. We can see that light as per normal. If we jump to the first floor, again, we can't see the light until we select a token. And we know Sorryman's on the first floor because it says +10, and of course he's walking around on that above tile up here. He can see that light. Now, to prove the case, if we go up to the attic, we've got Ronbar up here. We haven't got any walls in over here. He cannot see that light because that light only goes up to 20 foot. Okay, so if we jump down, we go to that light and edit it, and we make that 30 foot, which is all the way up to Ronbar's level. We go back to the attic and select Ronbar. He can see that light now. So all of them can see it at their different levels, which is not what we want in this case. So I can just edit that back to 20, and we're back once again to Hayley can see it, Sorryman can see it, Ronbar cannot see it. Perfect. Now, one thing you may have noticed another thing I just wanted to quickly check and change is Hayley can now see this balcony that Sorryman is standing on. Previously, she couldn't see the balcony, and it was a bit weird because Sorryman was just sort of floating there. Now, one thing I do want to show you and make sure you realise is, yes, they can see each other because, yeah, he might be up higher on a balcony, but he's looking over that balcony. If Sorryman moves further away from that balcony, at some point, their line of sight, the angle between Sorryman, 10 foot up, and Hayley, bearing in mind that there's a wall in the way, they can't see each other. So they fade away because they're no longer within vision. So it will calculate the angle between the two to see if they can see each other. Now we can do the same by grabbing Hayley. We can see Sorryman still, but if she moves under that balcony enough, he disappears. So if you think about the angle that's, you know, Hayley's down here and she's looking up, it's like a diagonal line up to where Sorryman is, and at some point that line gets blocked by this balcony here. There we go. So that works absolutely perfectly, and I love that. But how did I get this balcony above Hayley to show up so that she can see it? Now, if she tries to walk under that balcony, she's not going to walk on the balcony, of course, because she's below it. That whole of that other tile will fade away so that she can do her normal stuff. And you need to decide how you want that to work for your particular map, and it will vary on different maps for you. This map is not brilliant for it. But how did I do that? So this is not about the level Hayley's on. This is about the level that Sorryman is on, and specifically to do with the tile that is this first floor. So if we go to levels here, you can see there is an option to say show this even if you're below it. And that's what we've got ticked on now, so that Hayley, when she's down there, she can see what's up here, even though she's below it. Now, there are some other options here as well, but that's not relevant to what we're doing. And notice on the overhead tile part, this is where you can choose what happens. So if we say that's always visible, when we select Hayley, she can always see that upper floor. Even if she walks under it, is that her door? That's her door. Even if she walks under it, that tile stays. There might be occasions you want that. And if so, that's your option for you. You can also do things like token vision. Again, this might be something that you want for particular things. So notice that as she cannot see that she cannot see what's under that balcony, she can see the balcony itself. It's a little bit odd like that, because if she can't see what's underneath, how can she see through the bottom of the balcony? But there are circumstances you may want to use that particular one. If she hides around the corner here, that balcony shows up in that fog of war because she knows that it's there. Personally, that's not one that I use. The other one you can use is surrounding token. Now this is quite nifty, but again, probably a niche use kind of thing. So if Hayley moves under here, it doesn't disappear, but see that it's giving a little ring around her so that she can still see immediately, because I'm hovering over it, immediately what was round her. Yeah. So it's giving a little circle around her. Now, if I hover my mouse over the same area, that will then fade away. So absolutely Hayley can still see everything she needs to if she wants to, but it's just that extra step with the mouse. Let's change that back to fade the entire tile, so when Hayley comes under there. All right, so that's how I had that set. So when Hayley goes under, the whole tile fades away. So you can choose if you wish to use that or not. Now there are some challenges with that, especially on a map like this. If I reset my fog of war, so what can Hayley see? So from here she can see, yeah, she can see that part of the balcony. Yep, no problem. And she can see this part of the balcony. She can see through these walls. Now she can't see any tokens through those walls in the same way that she can't see Sorryman right now. If she moves out a bit, she can see where Sorryman is. But she can see like into this bedroom down here. And if Hayley moves to the extent of her movement downstairs, notice she can see all of this fog of war for the level above. She can't see any tokens in there. She hasn't got direct line of sight, but it has revealed that map for her. If she goes outside and comes back in, when that tile fades back in, she can see the whole of that room now. So that is not ideal at all. And the reason why is because that first floor tile is one big tile that we can only choose to have it fade or not fade, visible or not visible. So just be aware of that. Now the solution to that is and I'm using Aeon Bar's maps, and it's certainly not a criticism of his maps at all. Please don't take it as that. But this balcony that I would want to be visible from below, and this balcony on the right that I'd want to be visible from below, if I had them as a separate tile, I could choose them to have exactly that behavior. Whereas these rooms over here, even though the tiles are on the same level, I would not have that setting for that tile. So I would have those tiles not show even when below. So for those areas, where's my Hayley gone? She would not be able to see those rooms. Does that make sense? So the balconies, where I do show even when below, on either side, but not the rooms. So she would only ever see the balconies. So it's just to do with the way that the maps are made. Now, could I take Aeon Bar's map, stick it into any image editor, and chop the balconies out, save them as a separate image, and then save the other one? Yeah, of course I could. 100% I could absolutely do that. And then I could have just those balcony tiles showing. In fact, do you know what? I'm going to do that now, and I'll be back in a few minutes just to show you how you can solve this kind of problem and get those things working the way that you want to. I'll be right back in a moment. Okay, I came back again. So I mean, I was gone about 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes to do that, which is why I thought do it. Stop being lazy. So all I have done is I have taken this tile image and I literally cropped down there, across here and up here to give myself a square that includes the balconies but doesn't include any of the bedrooms. So this tile that I've already got on here, not walls, tiles, you idiot, not show when below. Okay, so now we won't have that particular issue, but Hayley can't see the balcony. I'm on the first floor. Let's insert another tile. There we go. Let's use our picker. Give it a second to load because I've got a lot of images in this particular folder. I'm going to choose my new file, and here is, you can possibly see, I'm going to bring that in. Number 4, blue water in. First balk, that's what I called it. And if I drag this out and pop it on here, you can see, just take it to one side, that's all I did. I literally cropped the balcony on either side. I could have done them separately, but it's like, well, no, I don't need to. I can do them as that. So now what I need to do, and this is not going to be the same size because I cropped it, I'm going to take this tile and I'm going to put this tile directly over the top. Okay, on the first floor. Let's get rid of my browser. Now, this tile, if I double click this tile, I can say show even when below for this one. Now let's see what happens when we go to the ground floor and Hayley's looking. She can now see the balcony above her. Oh, she can't because of that wall there. Oh, that's slightly unexpected. She should be able to... Oh, yes, because, of course, that wall down there is blocking her vision. That's fine. That makes sense. I was worried for a second there. So she can see these balconies now. And if I actually put Sorryman back on the balcony, that would make sense. Get back on the balcony, you. She can actually see on that balcony now from where she is. But she can't see into those bedrooms and weirdness that she had before. If she walks under the balcony, it disappears. Yeah. Now this is a slightly odd shaped room. You could argue that there's a bit of shenanigans going on here. So for example, Sorryman, she can't see the bedroom because Sorryman's, you know, isn't. If I put Sorryman in the bedroom, Hayley can see Sorryman above her but can't see the bedroom. So like I say, this is quite a complex map to do this with, and I chose it particularly to show you some of the challenges you are likely to encounter that will drive you slightly bonkers. Now, why is this? It's not the fault of Ripper or his module at all. It's because Foundry is built as a 2D engine. It's not designed to deal with multiple levels at all. So Ripper's done a really sterling job in enabling you to be able to do levels in this way. But standard Foundry will allow you to put tiles on the main scene and put the tiles at a different height, but not actually at different levels in the same way. So you can basically have a tile that's on the floor, or you can have a tile that's above the floor, under, over the top of your players, and that's it. You can't do multiple levels. So, Ripper and anybody else is quite restricted in what they can do. But this might be a much more accurate solution to what you want. Now, of course, if Hayley has come up here and seen this top balcony and things like that, that will stay in her fog of war. But unfortunately, she can't see. Even though she's standing on a table, she can't see onto that balcony because below her she's got a wall at her level. Now let's stick Sorryman. Let's make sure we're on the right level, please. If I stick Sorryman on that balcony, can Hayley see Sorryman up there? She can, which is correct. So the token vision between the tokens works fine, but the wall on Hayley's level is blocking her from seeing what's up there, even though the wall height's there. Excuse that little error, it's because I was dragging Sorryman around on the wrong level. Yeah, because we've got this wall on Hayley's level here, which is blocking her vision of seeing that. So yeah, it is not perfect. This is a complicated scene. You just have to choose whichever is going to be best for you. But I think this option, where Hayley can see those balconies without seeing into the rooms is much better. Now, as Foundry continues to develop, I'm hoping that we'll get even better tools for this. V13, version 13 of Foundry that's coming out, won't make a huge difference to this at all. It's not affecting this stuff. Will Foundry ever be able to do multiple levels better? Don't know. Who knows where Foundry is going in the future, and a lot of it's down to the input that we as users of Foundry choose to do. If you're not aware, at every release of Foundry they open a poll for people to go and vote on what they particularly want to be in the next version of Foundry, and the winner of that, you know, whichever gets the most votes, will be in the next version of Foundry, along with other stuff that the dev team want to do themselves. So just be aware of that. There are things that you can suggest and you can vote on and say, yeah, we definitely want it. So, for example, a very popular feature, there used to be a mod called Drag Ruler. I did a review of it. Currently it doesn't work at all. Version 13 is bringing Mod Ruler back, not as a mod, but core Foundry, and it looks really cool. But we'll look at version 13 when it comes out. But anyway, I hope this has been useful, just going over those different ways of using tiles, using levels, doing balconies and things like that, the lighting specifically. Those people who've been asking queries and things, I hope this has made that much clearer for you of what works nicely and what might work for you in your particular scenes. I have chosen a challenging map to do this with deliberately. The other, in fact, I've still got it. Look, Levels Barns. The other little one that we used originally, it's still here, it still works, is much more simplistic. There's that separate roof that disappears when we try to go in there. Well, Nick Sorryman, when we go inside, we can see this simple balcony here. And that works much easier because it's a simple balcony. We don't have those complications of all those other rooms. Sorryman can go up onto that balcony and go down again. Okay, so it does very much depend on your map what you need to do. But hopefully that's been helpful. Let me know in the comments if that has been helpful. That would be appreciated. Let me know that my time and effort is worthwhile. Leave a like, leave a comment. If you're not subscribed, please do so. And I will see you in the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.